So, hello everybody. My name is Vasilis Dimos, and I'm one of the three co-founders of Skroutz. For those who don't know it, Skroutz is a price comparison engine here in Greece, and it's pretty popular. Right now, in our Athens office, in our Athens office, there are 124 people working, and over half of them are working in engineering. So one could say that Skroutz has a pretty strong engineering DNA, and the numbers sure tell the same story. We have roughly 160,000 lines of code in our main repository. This code changes 800 times per month, and during a day we do 10 live deploys, so the site changes 10 times per day. And as a search engine, we have 1 million searches per day, which contribute to 7 million page views per day. So the numbers are there. And I myself, I have a background in electrical engineering. And through the last years, as in every startup, I've seen myself changing roles. And lately, in the last 5 to 6 years, I've been heading the design team at Skroutz together with two of my colleagues who are down there. Alexia and Vasilis, and together we are responsible for the site in Greece, the site in Turkey, which we started like 3 years ago, and recently the site in the UK, and for our applications, which are popular by themselves and are building up really nicely. So what I want to talk to you about today is how we, the three of us, manage design inside of a Skroutz, inside of a company which is very engineering-centric, and how we manage the process of designing the site. And as I said, through the last years, I've been fortunate enough to have been working in both parts. I've seen the site evolve over the years, and I've been working on the engineering part and the design part. And while we were able to fix a lot of stuff in terms of, responsive design coming up and everything, the multi-screen world, what I've always saw and what always bothered me was how this design process is being done. There was always this gap in between design and engineering. A designer creates something and then hands it over to engineering, which usually doesn't really translate it well, and there is always this struggle in between them. And maybe stereotypes don't help there really, because an engineer sees a designer and thinks of him of something like, this being who has this inherent knowledge about what is beautiful, how colors work, or why the white space should be there. And the designer maybe looks at an engineer and thinks, okay, this is this mathematical beast only thinking about true or false and how complex things are. And this is adding to this gap in the process, in the flow. And this is a real problem, because if you want to have a successful product, design and engineering are two of the pillars, of the three pillars. You need to have a good business unit, you need to have a good design unit, and you need to have a good engineering unit. And the three of them need to work together. So, although they have this common goal, and as I said, I was working in both fields, they also have similar principles. You see that in design, for example, reusability is very strong. We try to have patterns in Photoshop, symbols in Sketch and everything. The same is true for engineering. And all these principles are in both fields apparent and there. We have structure, consistency, even abstract principles like balance and simplicity are as well in engineering as they are in design. So we have a similar goal, we have similar principles. So what is missing from this equation? What is missing? What's the missing part? And this wasn't just us thinking about it, it's the whole industry. We're seeing companies transitioning from this tiered model, like design hands it over to engineering and everything else. We're trying to mix these fields together. So what is missing is, and I'm out of reach, okay. What is missing, what is missing is a common language. A common language is something that both parties, design and engineering, can work with, can understand, and can talk about. So, what is a language? What does a language need? A language consists of two parts. One part is the syntax, the way you use the bits and pieces to string together words and sentences. And the second part is the logic, the essence of this language, where you use it, how you use it. So, as an industry, during the last years, we've worked really on the rules, and we've seen style guides emerge and pattern libraries. Style guides obviously have been around for really long, but lately business owners have understood that they need a style guide and they need to work on a style guide. So what is a style guide? I'm sure most of you here worked with one or have created one. A style guide is a set of standards about writing and designing about a product, a brand, a field. So when we did the last redesign, we worked on our own style guide and created it. And a style guide has stuff in it like the brand, the logo, the font, even the tone of voice. And we incorporated all of this in our own style guide. And when you do this, what you achieve is, if you have a good style guide, you achieve visual consistency. Everything looks the same the way it should. Across a multi-channel world like we are living in today, your iOS application, your Android application, your web application looks the same, but not only your own products. Even if someone outside of the company is trying to promote your product, they have this style guide and they know how to promote it in a consistent way. To the end user, this brings familiarity and recognition. They see your logo and they immediately understand the colors and what it is. So we have these style guides, and we have these style guides for a long time now, but as I said, lately there have been an uptake. And in the last 2 or 3 years, we've seen pattern libraries, especially for the web, emerge. At Skroutz, we use Atomic CSS and the Pattern Lab. This is a methodology coined by Brad Forst. And what pattern libraries are, they are a collection of little patterns which solve common design problems. And here is a design of some of our patterns. In this case, the patterns are little cards which represent our products, our category across the site, across the brand. And you actually do create them in code as well. This is live on our site under a private branch. You will need a password to see this. But this is using the live code in order to keep the patterns all in place. So we can at any time see, is there something breaking, the change we made, is everything okay? And what you get out of pattern libraries, and in contrast to the style guide, is through the use of these components. And this is very important. These components, they are part of your product. They are infused with the wisdom you have about your product. You know, you're working on them, and revision 1, 2, 3, revision 33 of this button really behaves like it should be, of the context menu of everything. Through these components, you achieve functional consistency and familiarity for the end user of how things work, how things behave. Okay, so you have the style guide with visual consistency, how things look, and pattern library for how things behave. So for the two of them, there are specific deliverables. Your style guide lives in a Photoshop or Sketch file, and the patterns live in the best case in code. And what is really important about the two of them is, and this is, you know, their single goal, the one true metric, is how much they are used. So the style guide and the pattern library should make one thing easy, the right thing. Everyone should be able to pick a pattern, put it on a page, and it should work. Okay, this is your goal when you create style guides and pattern libraries. Otherwise, you have failed. So we've done this in our latest redesign, and we thought, okay, is this enough? Are we done? Okay, we did it. Everything works fine. And we were happy until an engineer came up to us and said, okay, I used your style guides, I used your patterns, and I wanted to create a form about a shop review. And this is what I came up with. And he did it quickly in Sketch and showed it to us. And while, okay, design-wise, it's not the super wow form, but, you know, he used the style guides and he used the colors and he created something, but in our mind, there was this big no. And the no was no because he used the card pattern to frame the form, to bring visual unity to it, and also to make it pop on the page. But that was not the way we created it. We created the card pattern in order to represent nouns, the objects of our universe. And we were much happier if we just hadn't used the card there. Okay, it would fit with what we were thinking, with what we had in mind. And what we had in mind was a design system. A design system complements the other two parts, and the design system is a general design direction. It's a philosophy. It's a worldview. It's something you have in your mind, and it's what we in the past said, the designer knows why it should be this way. A design philosophy is a worldview about how your mind works, how your design works, how your project works, how your product works. So, just to give you an example of part of our design system, we have a category listing page where we show all products in a specific category. So when we thought about how does this work, and to be honest, we spent the first 6 months of our latest redesign just thinking about how stuff should work, because we are three, engineering is much bigger. We can't design every page from the beginning. We need to have a system around it. So we thought about the category listing page and thought, okay, we have a blank canvas, and this canvas for us represents what the page represents, and the page is a category. So the canvas is the category. Everything that affects the category, be it a filter option or be it a sorting option, lives on this page. It doesn't need to pop, it doesn't need to be framed, it lives on this canvas. We have a global option, which is our search, and this lives on top of this page. And in this page, there are the products in their cards. So everything falls into place. And if you can do this kind of storytelling, and if you can convince others, and others can do this kind of storytelling, you have benefits of a design system which are really strong, because when they understand the philosophy, they can not only take the patterns, they can not only take the styles, they can extend them, they can add to them in a meaningful new way. So they can work with them, and what you achieve overall for the end user is logical consistency. And on a subliminal level, when you enter a web page or use a product, there are steps where you feel this isn't right, it wasn't supposed to be this way, something is wrong. And this is logical consistency. So what are the deliverables of a design system? What do you need to do in order to have a design system? And in contrast to style guides and patterns, a design system is not really tangible. It's a philosophy, meaning that, like capitalism, communism, it's been evolving. These two philosophies are evolving over the years. Books have been written and rewritten over these. So is your design system. You need an active development team, a design team, to work on this. And they need to do storytelling. And they do storytelling through blog posts, internal presentations, through design one-on-ones with the engineers to make them understand. And this is not a monologue. You're not explaining to them. You are getting feedback about your product and how your design system works or does not work. So obviously this isn't something that we created or we thought of. We take lots of cues from the internet and try to get the best from all what we found. And when you think about it, Google had a style guide 10 years ago. Google obviously had patterns like 10 years ago. But with material design, what they really brought to us was this little video which explained that their worldview is a paper and the button sits on top and it casts a shadow. And if you understand it, you can work with material design. If you don't understand it, you're creating something that doesn't feel really good like it should be. And also Spotify lately has a blog post introducing the Glue design language, which is their, it states down there that we are evolving a consistent global language for Spotify's product family. So if you have a product in a multi-channel world, you need to be working on a design system. Just to sum it up, style guides help you make everything look the same. Pattern library help you make everything function the same. A design system wraps everything up and helps you everything be the same, to have a consistent experience on all levels for the user for your product. So, a bit of self-promotion. We are 3. There are much more than we are. We are hiring. If anyone is interested in what I said and want to contribute to it, just take a look at our blog post, and actually that's it.
Thank you, Vasilis. Take a seat. Great stuff. So one of those things that we talk about style guides and consistency in that also helps spin up new employees, I guess.
In terms of them being a bit more, being self-efficient in terms of
understanding what Skroutz is, understanding what Skroutz is, delivering what's needed.
Yes, and you reach a certain point where some structures just don't work. You need to have more people contribute to the original idea, and you can't do this if it's top-down, like only 1 or 2 people understanding what we're trying to achieve, or how things work.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to be on board with this.
So when you're looking for new employees, like you are, nice plug, yes. Love it.
Okay.
What kind of people are you looking for?
In general, at Skroutz,
I know like you need developers or designers and everything, but I'm talking like kind of like personalities, yes. and skills and that type of thing.
I can tell you how the interview process in Skroutz is. We've split the company into little products, and each product has a team which does the interviews and the hiring themselves. The general 2 guidelines we give each team is, the one is the beer test, or in a more normal manner, the coffee test, which you go out with this person for beers, because nice. If you think about it, we're spent with our co-workers like most of our days. I see my co-workers more than I see my family, so it wouldn't be normal if I have someone across the desk which I couldn't stand.
Yeah.
So this is a kill-off. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. He could be like an Einstein.
Yeah.
And the second part, which is really important, is velocity.
What velocity?
Velocity. What some hirings are doing wrong is they look at the current state and say you are a junior, and I don't need juniors. But if it's a good junior with a very strong, desire to work, then velocity is really important, because you can work with this. He has like the hunger, he wants to create. And we had people in our company, when they started out, we said, okay, you are like, you never kick the ball and you're coming to Barcelona. Yeah. And are you willing to do this? And like, in every 3 months they were getting a raise, and at some point, they were the seniors really quickly. And this is velocity. Yeah. This is really important.
And is that, because I suppose a lot of people worry about their skills and whether they're good enough. And is it more important that they're willing to be good enough, they want to be good enough, that they've got that hunger for it, but then they've obviously got to have a decent portfolio, But is that something you look for as well? People who are hungry and they've got a passion for it.
I think that's number 1 factor, and Daniel said it really nice with tools changing and the styles. It's okay if you know the tools, but 2 years down the road you need to be able to change a tool. It's okay if you are worked with a style, but this changes. And in principles, okay, you need a basic education, but another principle which is really, really important is a hunger for knowledge, a hunger to evolve. Okay, a company can only evolve if the people working for it evolve, and in order to do this, you need a hunger. You need to be.
Okay, I've got 20 questions here, but we won't do more. We'll do a couple more. How is it important? How important is innovation to you, and how do you encourage it in a company?
Well, innovation is really important, but we have done innovation which has come to bite us back. So you need to do innovation in a specific way which doesn't hurt the main company, in a responsible way. And innovation, the way we try to do it is up until the first 5 years we were trying to drive innovation ourselves, and now with the splitted responsibility of having many product teams inside of the company, we're trying to let them do it themselves the way they want to do it. You can't force someone to innovate in a specific way or to innovate at all. Some teams are more conservative, some teams are more experimental friendly, and you just let it flow inside the company and see what comes out of it. I guess the hiring process leads to the innovation process.
Yeah.
If you hire good or people with velocity, once again, people with hunger, they will try to evolve and push the boundaries themselves.
Great. One last question then. I think it's from the audience as well. Here we go. From Vasilis. What are you guys doing in terms of company culture to bring design and engineering closer?
We've been through some phases. When we reached a certain point, I think when we went like 40 people strong, we sat down with our senior employees and we tried and looked at Spotify. Spotify at this point had really built up this, all the product, the whole product was split into little teams, and we created our own little, team philosophy, which were called karate. I don't know why, but it's okay at this time. And what we did was we tried to create teams that are self-sufficient. Like each team had a back-end engineer, front-end engineer, a designer, and they worked together. And what the goal was, we wanted them to focus on the product, to see each other as a logical complement to what they were doing. Like you are responsible for this product, and it doesn't matter if you're an engineer or a designer, you're responsible for this product. And you should take the best of the designer, and the designer should take the best of the engineer, because together you're responsible for this.
Yeah.
So bringing them together and setting them in front of responsibilities is a really good way to make them, bridge cultural differences or whatever.
Did you
it is.
physically put them together as well?
Yes, the teams are, if you walk, we are a huge open office, but each team has his section, and they sit together, and this is evolving. This is one thing we were trying to evolve over time. We've seen, for example, that with the design, it's hard to scale it this way because you introduce inconsistencies, and you need to have a design system if you want to have distributed, dedicated designers, because if you have the design systems, everyone is on top of what we are doing. If you just put designers in a team, everyone is trying to force his style or his thinking into the product, and this leads to inconsistencies.
Great, okay, great answer. Thank you, Vasilis, Dimos.
Thanks.
Thank you.